Hi and welcome students. We're looking at solving equations using multiplication and division property, and we're also going to combine that at the very end with some addition subtraction, and that'll be what our next section is on as well. So we're going to make things just a little more interesting. And let's see, let's first look at this linear equation. 2x equals 12. 2 times what is 12? Now I might be able to just already know what the answer is, but it's best to figure out exactly what it is that I'm doing so that I can do this same procedure on the harder problems. Well, if I say 2 times what equals 12, I just go backwards because I've been given the answer and not the problem, and I need to come up with the problem. So I need to go backwards. This was multiplication. So what I'm going to do is divide both sides by 2. I'm going to do the exact same thing to both sides. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 and then compute what I have. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And I'm left with 1 times x, which is x equals 6. Now you know we should check this to see if it works. 2 times 6, oh yeah, that equals 12. So let's solve this linear equation. Negative 24 equals 6x. Sometimes that's tricky for us when the x is on the right-hand side, but we don't need to let that bother us at all. We're just going to write this down. We're going to say we want x all by himself. So we need to move that 6. So what we're going to do is divide both sides by 6. I'm going to get that negative 4 on the left because negative 24 divided by 6 is negative 4 equals 6 divided by 6 is 1x. So I have negative 4 equals x. I don't like looking at it that way. So I like to swap it around and write it as x equals negative 4. Means the same thing, but this is just the way I like to see it. We should check this to see if it works. 6 times negative 4? Oh yeah, that equals negative 24. Now sometimes these negatives on these x's are confusing. Negatives tend to throw us anyway. So negative times x equals 5. So what am I going to do? Well, I'll just pull a little trick out of my hat, and I'll divide both sides by negative 1. Because after all, that's like a negative 1 in front of that x. And negative x divided by negative 1, that's just x. And 5 divided by negative 1, that's negative 5. Now you know we better check this. So let's check it. Negative, see I just took this negative times a negative 5, negative times a negative 5, negative, negative, that's a positive. Oh yeah, that's it. Perfect. So let's do one with a 0 because sometimes that's confusing too. We get these ones and they're just straight. We just solve these problems just straight and then all of a sudden they throw one at us. That's a little weird. So let's just do one of those. 2 times what equals 0? Well, I'm going to do the same thing I always do. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1x. And 0 divided by 2, you can check that on a calculator. That's 0. Now remember, 2 divided by 0, now that's undefined. So you got to remember which way that goes. We'll discuss that in detail later on in the course. So we need to check this too. What is negative 2 times 0? Well, that's 0. Got that one. So let's solve the following linear equation. Let's do something with fractions because those are always tricky too. So if I have negative 1/3 times x, I'm going to divide by 6. Now dividing by 1/3. When you divide by a fraction, what do? You flip and multiply. So I'm going to divide by 1/3, but that just means that I'm going to flip and multiply. Notice on the left-hand side, 3 over 1 times 1 over 3, everything cancels out, leaving me with x. And then 6 times 3 over 1, that's 18. We better check this to see if it works. What is 1/3 times 18? It's 6. All right, let's do a two-step equation. This one has both multiplication and addition in it. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get rid of the low-hanging fruit. That plus 5 right there. He's what I call low-hanging fruit. Let's get rid of him first. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And I will get negative 2x equals 6. Now once I've got that down, then I'm going to divide both sides by -2, and I will get x equals -3. Once again, I better check this. And -2, substituting in that -3, so -2 times -3, that's 6 plus 5, that equals 11. And that's all for this particular video. If you have any questions, be sure and email me, rweaver10@alaska.edu. Thank y'all and have a nice day.